You see this? I cut this entire lawn. Look at the pile of grass I've created there. I cut this entire lawn with just a pair of hand shears. Not because I wanted to, but because I had contacted 5 different gardeners and maintenance people and I couldn't get any to respond or come round to do the job. Now, I know if you live in Portugal, you might be thinking, yep, that's Portugal. I'd already done a big cutback of the overgrown garden before, but on that occasion I wanted it done ASAP and I knew it would be quicker to just borrow a ladder and do it myself. And in case you're wondering why I don't just use the lawnmower, it's because I'm at a house sit of a totally empty house and there's absolutely nothing here, no tools, so I can stretch to buying a pair of shears, but I'm not buying a lawnmower. But here's the interesting thing. Today isn't about gardening, it's about something that I have realised. Sometimes the problem isn't the challenge itself, it's about not fighting the system and just coming up with a completely different solution, possibly changing your plans, possibly rethinking things. And this isn't the first time this has happened either. I had exactly the same thing when I was trying to find an accountant. I was getting absolutely nowhere, so in the end I just had to do my Portuguese tax return myself. I just did it online and I have done ever since. Not my choice, but that's what I had to resort to. And if you think this is just my experience, it is not. A really good video I watched recently was from Shelley and Gary over on the channel Change of Plan. And they talked about something called the emotional cost of moving to Portugal. And they explained something I don't think enough people talk about. And that's just how worn out you can get by the constant obstacles and challenges. And how it's not usually one big disaster. It's just an accumulation of all the little things. Emails that don't get answered, contractors that disappear, appointments that don't happen, people saying they'll get back to you and they never do, and on and on. None of these things on their own are catastrophic, but just all added up, they can be very draining. I'd be interested to know actually, if you have moved to Portugal, what is the thing that's caught you out that might have been particularly sucking of your soul and your energy? Now, I'm not saying all this just to have a moan. I mean, this is just the way it is. But it's more to share a realisation that I've had. Sometimes it's quicker and far less stressful to stop trying to make one solution work and simply find another one. And what I wanted to share with you today was one area, healthcare, where I found a really good alternative or a sort of backup. So in the past, quite a few of you have asked me, because I do sort of information-y and sharing the experience type videos, but quite a few of you have asked me if I could cover healthcare. But to be honest, I rarely use a doctor. I don't even have a doctor. I haven't used any of the healthcare system here in the 6 years that I've been here, so I'm not really qualified to make the video. I mean, I did talk about it a little bit and share Evelyn's experience in a past video about the healthcare system, but that's all I could do because I haven't had any experience. But then recently a friend of mine shared a service that she'd used, which is an online doctor, and she was really pleased with it. So I thought it was worth sharing and something to keep note of, and as I say, it's a good alternative or even just a backup. So just in case you aren't aware, it can be very difficult to get registered with a doctor here depending on where you live. And even if you do have one, sometimes it can be difficult getting an appointment. And I actually know of 2 people whose doctor has gone on maternity leave, but then there's no cover arranged, so you just haven't got a doctor for that whole time they're on maternity leave. And you can get very basic things like repeat prescriptions, but in these 2 instances you couldn't actually see a doctor. Oh, and it's not just Portugal, by the way. This online service is worldwide, and it's not just for people living abroad in a foreign country. Some people have actually used it when they're just travelling. You could, if you was just a nomad, a traveller, just visiting a country. It's a really good well, I think from what she's told me and what I've seen, it's a really good service to keep in mind. And for my friend, there's one thing that she really loved about the service, but let me show you what it is. So I do actually have a list of 4 online doctors, and I'll put them at the end of the video, but I'm just going to show you the one that my friend used and recommends. Oh, but before I do, I just wanted to say why and how she ended up using this service. Now, she does actually have a doctor. She's registered with a doctor locally, but she just found this so much quicker and easier to make an appointment. Definitely quicker. It's the speed. The thing what she loves about it the most is the speed at which you can get an appointment. Also, just for her own conscience, she's from the United States, and she felt that she didn't want to put a burden on the healthcare system here, and when appointments are maybe a long wait and limited, she just wanted to use this service, pay for it, and not put a burden on her doctors. That's just how she feels. So the one she used is doctorsa.com. Obviously, I'll put the website link in below and put it all up on the screen, obviously. So it's 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just a consultation is just €20, and you simply just go on, choose what treatment you want. So you start off with a choice of urgent care or just set up an appointment. You just click on that. You just obviously fill out some details, and then you just put in where you are, because as I said, this is worldwide. But in some areas, especially cities, you can even book a walk-in appointment at a doctor's office or even a home visit. I think we tried it with a few different cities, and I think in Porto we got the home visit option. But anyway, it's depending on where you are. But for this video, I think we're mainly talking about having a video consultation. Obviously, you give a brief description about what it is that you are wanting to see a doctor for. You select your preferred date and time, and it's all quite straightforward. This particular website is really easy to use. It's really intuitive. That's why my friend picked this one, or one of the reasons. As I said, there are 4 of them. It's very quick. Once you've put in your inquiry, that you then get the option to be contacted by email or WhatsApp. You book your appointment, you pay your money, and then you have your video call either with a phone on WhatsApp or a link sent via email. You can choose, you get a little bio and description for each doctor, so you can choose your doctor. My friend's used it a few times, so she's tried a couple of different doctors. One she really likes, so obviously she can now choose that doctor every time. And in a way, it's a bit like having your own doctor of your choice. I mean, you can, to me, that's quite good that you could possibly get to try a few and then stick with the one that gels with you best. As I said, it's very good even if you're just visiting a country and traveling. So when you do go to book and put in all your details, you can choose to create an account, or you can just proceed as a guest. So it really is that simple. There's not really a lot else I can show you really, apart from give you the 4 websites. As I said, I will do that either at the end of the video or in the description or something. And but yeah, I just thought that's really useful to know. So yes, I did end up cutting my entire lawn by hand. Sometimes that's just life in Portugal. You adapt, you improvise, and occasionally you discover a better solution than the one you originally thought you needed. So if you did enjoy today's video, I would recommend two things. I highly recommend going over and watching Shelley and Gary, I think that's right, Shelley and Gary's video from Change of Plan. And if you are experiencing any challenges, it will definitely reassure you that it is quite normal. And if anything, reading the comments underneath will make you realise you are definitely not the only one. And if you are moving to Portugal or have recently arrived, then take a look at my free Moving and Living in Portugal toolkit. It's just something I put together. It's a collection of services, contacts and resources that I've personally used or that have been recommended to me by people I know and trust. I will put the online doctors that I've mentioned today in there. I'll need to do that. I'll need to update it and add that. But hopefully you'll find it useful. It might save you some time. And yeah, thanks for watching and see you on the next one.